You woke up this morning, nothing unusual happened. You didn't fall, you didn't injure yourself in some weekend warrior softball game. You just woke up. And man, your back hurts, your knees ache, you're stiff, you're a little slower, and you're frankly exhausted by everyday movements that literally didn't faze you 5 years ago. Look, I hear this all the time, and I want to validate exactly what you're feeling right now. Your body is changing. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a hard-hitting, highly visual look at the biological reality of why your body feels like it's breaking down in your 40s. But more importantly, we're going to break down the specific scientific steps you can take to rebuild it. Let's dive in. 80%. By the time you hit age 45, roughly 80% of people report some form of chronic back, knee, shoulder, or neck pain. I mean, that is a staggering number. So if you're hurting right now, please know you are not alone, and it's certainly not all in your head. It's measurable, it's biological. This sudden breakdown isn't just random bad luck, and it's definitely not just quote-unquote getting old. Your body hasn't betrayed you, it's just fundamentally changed. So the absolutely crucial question we have to answer is, what on earth happened to your body? Why did a machine that functioned perfectly fine, recovered quickly, and woke up pain-free at 35 suddenly start screaming at 45? Well, to fix this, we really gotta look under the hood. There are 6 specific, major biological reasons behind this dramatic shift. Let's break them down right now. Reason number 1. Look closely at the screen. See those thick, dense muscle fibers right there on the left? That is your tissue at age 25. Now watch as we move the timeline forward. Look at how those fibers literally degrade, thin out, and morph into this sparse tissue. You are losing muscle mass at an accelerating rate. Now, the key here is understanding what this process is actually called. It's sarcopenia. It starts out pretty subtly around age 30, but by your 40s, it hits a massive tipping point. And here's why this matters so much to your pain levels. Muscle doesn't just exist to look good in the mirror. Muscle is your vital structural support. It stabilizes your joints. It protects your skeleton. So when you lose this vital tissue, your joints get totally unstable, and your posture basically falls apart. To put a hard number on it, by the time you're 45, you've lost roughly 15% of the muscle mass you had at 30. Think about that. That is a massive structural deficit. And to make matters worse, your body doesn't lose this tissue evenly. Notice how it strips muscle fastest from your critical support systems, mainly your legs and your core. Your knees hurt because the quad muscles holding them together are getting weak. Your back hurts because your core just isn't holding you upright anymore. And that structural deficit leads us directly into reason number 2, joint degradation. Inside a healthy joint, you start out with about 2 to 3 millimeters of this beautifully smooth, slippery cartilage that lets your bones glide without any friction. But cartilage doesn't really repair itself. Watch this joint in motion. As 40 years of living just grinds that protective layer away permanently, it gets thinner and thinner, creating bone-on-bone friction. And friction? Friction creates pain. But wait, it gets a bit worse because of a concept called inflammaging. Your immune system has spent 4 decades fighting off stress, poor diet, toxins, and random infections. Now it's just chronically overactive, pumping out systemic, low-level inflammation everywhere in your body. When you combine this elevated baseline inflammation with that worn-down cartilage we just saw, you get a perfect storm. Elevated friction, heightened pain, and a drastically reduced capacity to recover. Which brings us right to reason number 3. Keep your eyes on the connective tissue here. Watch how those strong collagen fibers actually begin to snap, break apart, and fray. Collagen is literally the protein glue holding your tendons, ligaments, and fascia together. And this exact structural breakdown is exactly why you didn't do anything crazy, but you still pulled a muscle or strained a ligament just by twisting to reach into the backseat of your car. The hard data on this is wild. Your collagen production drops by about 1% every single year after age 40. Your tendons are getting brittle, your fascia is drying out and losing its natural elasticity. And this brilliantly illustrates why you can't just stretch it out anymore. Stretching alone won't fix the fact that your connective tissue is biologically less resilient than it used to be. The actual quality of the tissue has degraded. Okay, moving on to reason number 4. Your nervous system and your recovery capacity have completely crashed. Notice the sleep cycle playing out here. When you work out, you create these tiny micro tears in your muscles. Your nervous system is the boss in charge of repairing them, but it absolutely requires deep, restorative sleep to do its job. In your 40s, your deep sleep gets shallower, and your REM sleep is way less restorative. So your poor sleep is directly sabotaging your body's ability to rebuild those micro tears. Now consider how your daily stress impacts all of this.
Chronic midlife stress traps you in a sympathetic state. That's your fight or flight mode. This is a catabolic state, meaning it literally breaks tissue down. To heal, you've got to be in a parasympathetic state, rest and digest, which is anabolic and actually builds tissue. Because you're constantly stressed out, you're just trapped in breakdown mode. This right here is exactly why you desperately need rest days now. You simply cannot recover like you used to.
Reason number 5 is the engine running the whole operation: hormonal decline and a slowing metabolism. As you can see that metabolic rate dropping on screen, it basically means you have less raw physical energy available to dedicate to repair and recovery. But more critically, the actual chemical signals telling your body to rebuild, they're fading out. We are talking about a severe drop in the hormonal signals that build tissue. For men, lower testosterone plummets your muscle building capacity and your bone density. For women, dropping estrogen ravages collagen production and tissue elasticity. And for both, lower growth hormone means agonizingly slow wound healing and muscle repair. Your body is quite literally receiving fewer commands to heal itself.
And finally, reason number 6. This is the big one. It's the unavoidable culmination of everything we've talked about so far: 40 years of accumulated postural damage. You haven't just been sitting there in a vacuum. You've been putting your body through 4 decades of repetitive movement patterns, daily physical stress, and nagging injuries that you never fully rehabilitated, but instead just compensated for.
Watch this postural timeline unfold. Boom. At 20, you've got this healthy, perfectly stacked spinal alignment. Now let's advance to 30. Thousands of hours hunched forward at a desk job literally compress the spine and stretch out that posterior chain. Now let's fast forward to 40. Look at it. The shoulders are rolled forward, the head is jutting out, and you've got this anterior pelvic tilt. That slow structural morphing right there is the true source of your chronic neck and back pain. Okay, take a breath. We've completely diagnosed the breakdown. Now let's shift gears entirely to the rebuild. I'm going to give you a little bit of tough love here. Yes, your body has changed, and yes, it's taken some damage. But this damage can absolutely be arrested, and much of it can even be reversed. It's not a permanent life sentence. It is time to go on the offensive. Let's look at this exact battle plan. We are going to attack these root biological causes with direct, scientific interventions. Check this out. To fight sarcopenia, you must rebuild muscle with compound strength training 3 times a week. We're talking squats, deadlifts, rows. To combat connective tissue decline, you need 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight and plenty of vitamin C to force that collagen synthesis. To suppress inflammation, you must relentlessly manage your stress and up your omega-3s. And to fix that nervous system crash, you absolutely have to prioritize 7 to 9 hours of sleep to drive your body back into a parasympathetic repair state. So, here are your core non-negotiable steps. Step 1, rebuild the muscle. Step 2, manage the inflammation. Step 3, correct your structural alignment. But hear me loud and clear on this one. Fixing 40 years of accumulated physical damage is not going to happen in some 4-week internet boot camp. This requires relentless, unwavering consistency over a period of 6 to 12 months. You just have to show up and do the work every single week. And as you do that work, you need to set realistic expectations. Let's be completely honest with ourselves here. You are not going to look exactly like you did at 30. But honestly, you don't need to. What you do need is a body that is strong, highly functional, and completely pain-free. And I'm telling you, that is an absolutely achievable reality. People eliminate chronic pain and rebuild their strength all the time, once they finally give their body the right stimulus. Which leaves us with one final, very important question. Are you just going to accept this chronic pain and let your body permanently adapt to the damage? Or will you step up, be consistent, and do the actual work to reverse it? Your body didn't break down overnight. And hey, it won't be fixed overnight, but you hold the power to rebuild it. Start today. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time. Let's get